What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, I haven't actually made a proper video about this yet, but since we know Zach LaVine is on the verge of being traded from the Chicago Bulls, it looks like the date that everybody is talking about is December 15th. I want to talk about the two directions we can go in. Now, it's clear we're not going to keep this team the same anymore. So the question is, should the Chicago Bulls retool? Or should the Chicago Bulls rebuild? I haven't really discussed it in detail what it could mean for the Chicago Bulls. So that's what we're going to be discussing in this video. I'll try to do my absolute best because I think all of you know the side that I'm on. But I'll try to give you the absolute best, I guess, non-biased answer I could possibly give to you. Looking at some of the positives and the negatives of retooling or rebuilding and, you know, discussing the whole thing in that nature. A couple of people have brought some good things to my attention. And that is something that I really feel like should be brought into this video. So before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not we should rebuild or retool. Heck, if I remember, I may put a poll up on YouTube to discuss what you guys would rather see. I think the answer is going to be pretty obvious, but you never know. It brings more discussion out there for the Chicago Bulls. Now, let's keep in mind that as of this point, I truly believe the Chicago Bulls want to retool this team. Again, looking at the Shams report, it suggested that they wanted to keep DeMar DeRozan and extend DeMar DeRozan still, despite potentially trading Zach LaVine in December, January, or whenever it may be. So that, in my mind, doesn't necessarily signal a rebuild, does it? It more signals a retooling of this team. So, what does a retooling mean? Basically, there are pieces in the Chicago Bulls team that are broken now. This team is focused on winning, right? I think we all can agree with that. The front office wants this Bulls team to win. The Bulls fans, for the vast majority, at least at the beginning of the season, wanted this Bulls team to win. We kept the team the same because this Bulls front office, rightfully or wrongfully, believed this Bulls team can win games and can be competitive in the East. Now, with Zach LaVine potentially getting out of Chicago or going out of Chicago, whatever you want to call it, it's up to the Chicago Bulls if they decide to go down this route to bring pieces in that can still allow us to be competitive in the East. Right now, we are not competitive, but if you bring in the right pieces, we could be competitive. That is the purpose of a retooling. Moving different pieces around or adding certain pieces in to allow us to become a better team. That is a retool, a reshape in many ways as well. Trying something different in the same purpose of trying to win games. That is what a retooling is potentially about. Now, keep in mind, retooling doesn't necessarily mean as well just, you know, getting different players in. It could also mean getting different coaching styles in, getting a different coach in general, more maybe different sort of, I guess, development coaches and stuff of that nature, players playing in different roles. It could mean a whole bunch of things, but that's essentially what a retooling is. Changing the team in a way that allows us to still be competitive, or for some Bulls fans, to get competitive in the first place. That's what a retooling is. What's the positive in that? Well, the positive is the Bulls still have the mindset of winning games. That's the positive mindset. That's the mindset that a retooling brings. This Bulls team still wants to win games. They're still going to try to win games, which means if we can be successful in the retooling, this Bulls team will be significantly better this season, which is something that people might want to see. Not everybody wants to see losing basketball. Not everybody wants to see this Bulls team tank. Now, the vast majority of people would like to see that at this point in time. We'll get to the rebuilding part on, again, a little bit later. But a retooling is essentially the mindset that the Bulls want to win, and this trade for Zach LaVine will help us win games. So that's the positive in terms of a retooling. The Bulls will still have the same mindset of trying to win games. That means that the Bulls could potentially be competitive if they do it successfully. That means you will get players into this team that will work and that will help this system all around us. That could also potentially mean that guys like Nikola Vucevic and DeMar DeRozan, if they do work out in Chicago with these new additions, could want to stay long term. And that means we could be competitive for a couple of years. That's how I view a retooling process for the Chicago Bulls if done successfully. Now, the negative side of that is that for the vast majority of people, the Bulls don't believe we can be competitive with the current team. I've said it in the past myself. I don't believe Zach LaVine is the end-all be-all in terms of us being good if we trade him away, or us even being bad if we trade him away. It's more than just Zach LaVine. It always has been more than Zach LaVine. So that's something we got to take into consideration, right? The negative is there's no guarantee of this working because people don't have the belief and the faith that this Bulls team will actually be competitive no matter who we actually get in return. So that's the negative. This could fail. It's a risky game that we are playing, and a risk could turn into failure. Another negative side of this is that if it does fail, that means that Bulls are going to have to make another decision in the future to potentially rebuild or retool again. Let's give you another example. DeMar DeRozan is potentially on the verge of deciding his future, whether or not he wants to stay in Chicago or move elsewhere, right? So that's a very important decision that he has to make. If this Bulls team trades Zach LaVine in the attempts to retool, and this retool is unsuccessful, we fall out of the play-in tournament, we still end up being as bad as we are right now. DeMar DeRozan doesn't extend his contract with the Chicago Bulls, and he goes and joins a team in LA or a team in New York or the Sacramento Kings. Whatever team is going to pursue DeMar DeRozan, the Bulls are left wondering and making yet again another decision about whether or not they should retool again or rebuild again. And that is something that could potentially be seen as delaying the inevitable. So that's something we're going to keep in mind as well. Those are the two reasons why this retool could not work if we decide to go in that direction. Now let's turn to the rebuilding side. Rebuilding side is very, very simple. We've done this in the past. We know how it works. The Chicago Bulls trade Zach LaVine for young assets and draft picks, as many as we can get. And while doing that as well, you're looking at trading guys like Alex Caruso, trading guys like DeMar DeRozan, trading guys like Nikola Vucevic, getting rid of the veterans on this team and trying to go younger in the hopes that this Bulls team, as good as they could be as a younger team, continue to fall and continue to lose games, which will obviously help us get better draft picks. And now that the draft picks that we've traded in could also mean that we get more draft picks, which means more younger talent, which means there's more chances we could get lucky and draft the next best thing in terms of the NBA. So that is clearly what a rebuild is. The positives, you go younger. You change the mindset of trying to win to tank. And in that way, the losses might not feel as bad for the Chicago Bulls. Every time we lose in this season, we know for a fact that the Bulls want to win. So that's obviously much more frustrating because you want to see this Bulls team win. The clear ambition is to win, and they still can't get it done. That, in my opinion, is the most miserable way to go out in any single loss. So if you're tanking, the mindset is different. That if you're tanking, when you lose games, yes, you'll still be upset because you never want to see your Bulls team lose, but it might not feel as bad because you know the direction they're going in and you know the goal that's in front of you. That's what a rebuilding mindset will bring to the table. The changing of winning, the changing of drafts, selection, making sure the right assets are there, looking into player development, maybe looking into getting a coach that is more, I guess, progressive in terms of allowing players to develop. I don't think Billy Donovan might be the right guy for that. There's a little bit of a debate there, but that is what you look at for a rebuild. Those are the positives. The mindset changes. Obviously, the players get younger and you get more draft picks, and your draft picks will be higher, so you get to select the right people and you rebuild properly. You rebuild with the draft and in the hopes that you could get lucky. The negative about that, this Bulls team, as of now, has yet to have a really successful draft pick. Kobe White is not a AK draft pick. He's a Garpax draft pick. So at the end of the day, you don't rule him in this category. You simply don't. Yes, he'll be part of the rebuild most likely, but he's not involved in this. Look at all the other draft picks that the Chicago Bulls have made with AK in charge. Patrick Williams was projected to be the next Kawhi Leonard, looking like he's going to be a 3-and-D player, and that's all he's going to be at this point in time. Marcus Simonovic is no longer in the NBA. Ayo Dosunmu is very, very rarely getting minutes for the Chicago Bulls at this point in time. Dalen Terry, people don't even have faith in him anymore after one season in the NBA. And Julian Phillips doesn't play either. Adama Sanogo doesn't play. Justin Lewis was an undrafted prospect that we signed that doesn't play. Even guys like Devon Dotson is no longer with the Chicago Bulls. We've done a lot of acquisitions of young talent, and very little to none of them have really thrived under this organization. Now, that's the risk. What if the Bulls suck at drafting? If the Bulls suck at drafting and make mistake after mistake, this rebuild will take forever and it may never truly be successful. So the Bulls have to be confident and select the right players. If they don't, then all of this goes downhill and we will be rebuilding for a very, very, very long time. And that's something I don't necessarily want to see. I don't want to see a 15 to 20 year rebuild. That could be on the horizon if we mess this up constantly. What do you guys think? that's going to be my video. Thank you all for watching. Drop a like and a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care, and peace.